Hey guys, welcome to another Watch Soup. Happy Sunday. Excited, long weekend culminating on a great show with some of my good friends here. I am Bobby Legs, one of your co-hosts for Watch Soup Sunday nights, episode 5. Clayton, how you doing? What's going on, man?
I'm doing well. It's WrestleMania weekend. I'm a
Is
wrestling
that what's
geek,
going
so
on?
it's a big night two is paused in the basement. I will return to it after. I'm excited.
I was just, it's funny that you mentioned that. I didn't realize it was WrestleMania weekend, but I was reading an article on CNBC how Vince McMahon has been shopping WWE around, and finally it looks like he got a buyer. Um,
Yes, it looks like tomorrow it will be. That's what I'm reading. Tomorrow it
yeah,
will be official. The company that owns UFC will
yeah,
be purchasing it. Yeah, he had some issues
yeah,
there with
yeah,
hush money and
yeah,
stuff, and yeah,
yeah.
it's been ongoing
Don't we
for a
all?
while. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh gosh, the hush money I've paid to I don't
yeah, yeah.
know.
No, no, but they evaluated. So I thought that this was. I don't know what I was expecting the value of what the WWE is worth, but they were. I think the valuation on the deal is that the WWE is worth around 9 billion. I guess that's a lot of money. I was thinking it would be more, but I you know
They've had a good run here.
yeah,
Actually, the stock has done well since Vince has sort of stepped away from
yeah.
creative. Their pay-per-views have been setting
Hmm.
gate
Okay,
records and all
okay,
that, and they get big deals from like Fox for
yeah,
SmackDown, and
yeah,
Peacock has the exclusive right to WWE Network now. So,
yeah.
and night one of WrestleMania last night was really a good night. So,
Cool.
yeah. So.
So speaking of epic weekends and events, I mean, you got something epic,
Oh yeah,
don't you?
I'm still I don't pinch me. I don't even know if I'm awake or if it's actually a dream. The
Yes.
Moser Endeavor center seconds concept funky blue. This terrible lighting doesn't know justice, but it
Beautiful
if it's
watch.
possible, it exceeds. I didn't know what to expect. I've never owned a watch like this, and it exceeds any expectations. The dial, like I was telling you off air, is a chameleon.
Yeah.
Just does different things in every light imaginable. The movement is stunningly beautiful. I will wear the watch backwards every so often because it deserves that. So yeah,
Amazing.
it's just it's gorgeous. The leather strap is very comfortable. I feel like I got it for a pretty good price too, considering what these go for retail. I got it pre-owned from Topper. So yeah, completely over the moon.
Yeah, looks
Awesome.
fantastic.
Awesome. Let me quick reminder. Did we hit record on the
I did,
oh,
yes.
excellent. You're the
Yes,
man.
if before the music played, all good.
Awesome. Awesome. Sanjay, how you doing, buddy? What's going
Good,
on?
good. My voice is back, I think.
Yeah.
Last night was a bit of a disaster, but yeah,
Nah, I caught some of it. I guess I missed a lot of it too because I was me and Mrs. Legs had a little bit of a date night last night. So,
yeah,
but and I'll go back and see. But I heard it wasn't as bad
yeah. A
as
lot
you
of
thought it
people say it
was.
was not too bad. I
Yeah,
unlisted the video, but then I relisted it because a lot of people said it wasn't so bad.
yeah,
So
Good.
yeah, I'm hoping because Keith did a great job.
yeah,
He was so nice.
yeah,
I'm so grateful for Keith. But
yeah. Keith is
yeah,
great. What do you got on wrist, man?
my wrist is still the SPGW 295.
Ooh, what a
Oh,
lineup of watches have we
yeah,
have here
boy.
tonight, man. That is awesome. Chaz,
Beautiful.
you're right. It is soup time. You're right.
What's on your
James is
wrist, sir?
excited. Oh, just the same old Submariner.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the
Oh,
This
nice.
is a lineup tonight, my goodness.
yeah,
We're
on the strap.
okay, but the watches are,
Yeah,
Yeah.
immaculate.
right. I know. Like we're all like in sweatshirts and hoodies, and
Yeah.
you know, and we have these like pretty fancy luxury watches,
You can
right?
tell where our priorities lie.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Joey B, what's going on? Peter C is here. Bruno, what is up? Stefan, good to see you. The intern, thank goodness this is starting. About to fall asleep watching a competitor stream just now. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Rick is here. Hey, Thomas is here. getting on a train home from the airport. He was in Watches and Wonders. Hopefully, on Tuesday night we can get a report from Thomas. Looking forward to that on behind the scenes of Watches and Wonders. We have, yeah, it wasn't planned. But Thomas went, and we have our own on the field reporter. I feel like if he's willing to take that role. Um,
Those pictures he posted today are
I know.
just awesome. I got a
Awesome,
chance to take a
awesome. All the
look
people
real
that you
quick.
met.
Yeah.
Yep. BJ is here. How you doing, BJ? Symphony for the Bezel is here as well. Hey, Kevin from Wrong Time Watch. What's going on, buddy? Good to see
Evan.
you. William, hello. We're going to be zipping through because we have a lot to get to. Dan is here. Congrats. Wayman is here. How are you? Uh, Bobby, Watch Medicine. Wow, congratulations on the Moser Clayton. Great job consolidating your
Thank you, Bobby.
collection.
Thank you so
That's a
much.
great topic for a podcast.
I did it today. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Oh,
that
nice.
was the podcast today.
Excellent.
Consolidating and yeah, it's been, and I sold another watch tonight, so
Ooh.
Ooh.
it's uncharted territory for me.
Yep.
Wow.
Steve is here. Maison's here. How you doing, sir? Wilson, what's going on? Legs had cookies last night. No, no, there was no dessert. No dessert. Not to think of. Yeah, I don't think we had. I had a little ginger turmeric tea, but that was nice. Um, uh, Hans, how you doing? Um, BB, what is going on? Hey guys, long time. Yeah, haven't seen you in a while. BB, what's hope everything's well. Cabby's here. Paul is here. Good to see you, Paul. Okay, we're gonna get started, and we got an interesting lineup, a really powerhouse lineup of videos here. We're gonna start off with Sanjay's pick, Teddy Baldassarre showcasing incredible watches you may have never seen with Kevin O'Leary. Yeah, Kevin O'Leary. Oh boy, here we go. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sanjay.
Oh,
Tell us about this one.
well,
Bobby,
I didn't have as much fun with this one as I thought I would, but it was still a lot of fun. Kevin O'Leary was very impatient with Teddy. I would think. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
interrupting a lot.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he got cut off a lot. It was kind of like Kevin O'Leary would hear the first 5 words out of Teddy's mouth, and then he would lose patience and just cut in. And it was a little frustrating because I wanted to hear more about the Freak. Like, so the one of the
Mm-hmm.
watches
Mm-hmm.
being showcased with the Ulysse Nardin Freak, and Teddy was trying to say how this is working, what's going on here, and then you get the swooping from Kevin O'Leary about you know just cutting him off and ending the like derailing Teddy. He did really well though. Teddy did really well. He tried to stay on his feet. I think he did a good job for the most part, but some of the watches that were showcased were the Ulysse Nardin Freaks, a couple of them. There was Gerard Perregaux.
Mm.
I don't know what the name of the watch.
Triple bridge
The Triple Bridge
tourbillon.
Tourbillon, something or
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
It
then
was
there was another one, right?
Yeah.
Armin Strom made a
Mm-hmm.
couple of appearances. That was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Speak Marin was there too, and yeah, it was some really cool watches. I really enjoyed seeing the GP,
Yeah.
with the latches on the back. That was the one with the latches
Yep.
where seeing that thing operate was so cool, and
Mm.
it was a shame that Kevin O'Leary kept cutting in because maybe it's like a whole Shark Tank thing, like
Mm.
they're constantly cutting each other off, right? When you watch Shark Tank, and I love Kevin O'Leary's character, but maybe it's more than just a character. Maybe it's becoming part of him because it felt a bit sharkish. Like if I was there trying to tell Kevin O'Leary about how this watch works, I'd be a little intimidated because you'd be like, oh, he's going to listen to the first 5 words. I got to hook him in the first 5 words, or he's already on to the next thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Teddy did really well. You
Yeah.
guys have any thoughts on this guy?
Clayton, go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin seemed like a little annoyed or something in this episode. I thought he didn't seem as like jovial, or I don't know. There was something a little off. I agree with you. It had a weird vibe. Yeah, Teddy has the patience of a saint.
Yeah.
He really, I think he just like probably mentally prepares for the fact that, Kevin's going to make fun of him, call him grasshopper, all this stuff. Uh, um, Kevin strikes me as a guy who doesn't know as much about watches as he thinks he does. And I think when he tries to interject things into what he's saying, it shows.
Mm,
You can like watches for a bunch of different reasons. I'm not saying he's like, less of a collector or whatever. Obviously, he has amazing watches, but yeah, that's sort of the vibe I get. I'm actually hopefully my sister is coming to town. We're going to take a day trip. There's this really like wild watch shop in Newport, Rhode Island, and they actually sell Speak Marin. So hopefully
oh,
this
really?
week I'm going to go and check some out. I can't wait.
Well, a couple of things that I just remembered was Kevin O'Leary would say some things that are quite on the edge of the line of true or not true, like
Right.
sometimes a
Mm-hmm.
little controversial. And he'd look at Teddy to get approval, but Teddy would not budge. I really
Yeah.
respect that about Teddy. He
Yeah.
would just move, like he would just change topics, look at a different watch instead of agreeing with Kevin. And I thought that was really, really kind of neat. Teddy has a nice strong backbone there. It was good.
James saying I couldn't finish that video. I tried to give Kevin O'Leary another chance and failed. Never again. James, I'm with you. The only reason why I sat through the whole video at 1.5 times speed was that because we were discussing it. Sanjay, as as far as where you feel about or how you feel about Kevin Leary, liking him, I'm like the total opposite. I can't stand the guy.
Yeah.
I think he is incredibly obnoxious, and maybe that's his character. I often watch CNBC, and sometimes he makes an appearance on there, although he hasn't been on there a while because he got a tongue lashing a couple weeks ago for his position with the crypto exchange that was in trouble.
Oh, FTX.
Yeah,
FTX.
FTX, right? And so Shark Tank is shown on CNBC. At least the reruns of it are, and so he comes on, right, and people. I treat him like an expert of somewhat in the financial markets, but the people in that morning show, Squawk Box, really hammered him, and I was happy about it because he had a history of slamming crypto for whatever reason. I mean, he had his reasons, and there were good reasons, and then suddenly did an about face. Oh, I wonder why? Because he was, a paid sponsor, became a paid sponsor of FTX and whatnot. So he can go take a hike, right, when it comes to that stuff. But anyway, look, of course, I've noticed those instances when he was cutting off Teddy and Clayton. You're absolutely right. He fancies himself an expert just because he bought 3 FP Journes doesn't mean that he's an expert. And
Right.
speaking of FP Journes or
Or
4 FP Journes, and speaking of FP Journe, when he's talking about Armin Strom saying, "Oh, this looks exactly like a FP Journe," I'm like,
right.
"What are you talking about? This looks nothing like an FP Journe." Are,
That
are you
was
kidding me?
that
Like
was
I
one of
was
the
like,
Teddy Baldassarre things where he
Yeah.
he he did not budge on that.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, dude, are we looking at the same thing here? And and you know he just regurgitates some of the things that he hears about watching. He's like, "Oh, GP, been around for a really long time. It's a collector. It's highly collectible with the collectors." Actually, no, I don't think so. I mean, it's on some hard times. I'm really one of the few people I know. I mean, I know a couple other people who own GP, but there's very few of us out there, and then there's no new people coming into watches buying GP. Anyway, here in the United States, anyway, I don't know if in Europe it's a totally different story or not. But like, just don't BS me, man. I mean, like, you're on, and I don't know why Teddy keeps on having him on. They must have some sort of arrangement going on because he keeps on having him.
I
Maybe
always
it's
thought
good for.
Kevin was an investor in Teddy's watch
Is
business.
it that? Well, that
I,
makes sense. That
I
makes
don't know
sense.
that for sure, but I've heard that, and that's
Yeah.
always kind of my impression. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense to me. I mean, why Teddy? Because I'm wondering why would Teddy keep on having this guy come on, and that's fair, and that's Teddy's business, not mine. But don't trot him around like he's some sort of like expert. look, I don't get that vibe that Teddy's trying to really do that, but it's coming off that way, especially for someone who is new to watches and he sees and this person's getting hooked on YouTube content on watches, on hooked on Teddy's channel, which by the way, great channel by the way, right? You
Mhm.
know, I have no problem with Teddy. He's a really good guy. He knows what he's talking about. He presents very well. Um, but like you have this guy Kevin O'Leary who has this other presence in another sector, right? In the financial sector. Don't and he's coming off as an expert or trying to come off as an expert. I mean, it's BS. I mean, we can see it, right? But
Mhm.
it's like the new guy because I think that's what Teddy's channel is really kind of geared for. Is kind of like the new person that comes in, and then yes, once you get your feet wet in the collection and you're in it a couple years, you still hang around Teddy because or watch his videos because you get some valuable information. But the new person coming in there is just getting sold a bag of BS. Um, I'm going too hard, and I
Well, I mean, I think I agree. I agree, but I think at the same time, I personally didn't get the impression that Teddy was propping him up as a bit of a expert. At least not in this video, because of the times where Kevin O'Leary kept looking at Teddy for
mm,
approval and was not getting it back. Teddy wouldn't even make eye contact with some of the resonance when he compared the resonance to the Armstrong. Um, Teddy looked away, which
yeah,
it was pretty cringeworthy. And it was I I see what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
when Kevin O'Leary is talking about watches, it's hard to listen. It's really really hard to listen to. But as a person, he's kind of funny. For me,
yeah.
I
I
enjoy
hear you. Look, I mean,
guilty pleasure.
I'm not slamming your. I'm not slamming the fact that you like Kevin O'Leary. I'm
Yeah,
slamming Kevin O'Leary.
right. Yeah, I hear
Just
you.
because like I don't like him, so it's like who am
But
I?
but to your credit, I do get that feeling of like a pump and dump kind of thing with watches. At least the way he props up some watches. It seems like
Mm,
is he just trying to gain more value in his watch portfolio
yeah,
kind of thing? It does
Yeah.
have that kind of feeling. I'm not sure if that's actually the intention, but like especially the way he talked about GP. I'm not sure how many GPs he has in
right.
his collection, but yeah, I
I mean,
did get that feeling as well,
I
though.
I mean, he's the kind of guy that I don't want in the watch collecting world in the community. Like I don't want him. You know what I mean? Like I mean, he could do whatever he wants. I mean, I have no right to actually say to like I can't follow through with that statement. You know what I mean? But like that's like the last guy. I mean, like he just he bought FPG. He may have liked his Jordans. He may like them, but
Mhm.
he's only there because he sees it as an investment, and I guess that's fine. You know what I mean? Sure, that's fine. Whatever. I mean, that's totally fine. But just don't like come on here and tell me that an Armstrong reminds you like like he was almost saying that it's like a copy of an FP Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was almost saying that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
Like
know?
he was.
brew watches
Oh
compared
yeah,
it to
yes. Oh man, I forgot about that. He said
yeah.
Yeah.
the Brew watch looks like a Nautilus. Do you remember that, Bobby?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are you talking about? He knows
That was
about.
another moment where Teddy was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh God."
That just shows me that Kevin only knows five watches. He only knows five watches. Okay, that's an exaggeration. Maybe he knows seven. But I mean, like, do you know what I mean? Like the number is small to compare like a brew to a Nautilus.
Well, he's got a big vertical of Grand Seiko. Don't forget that.
Yeah, yeah,
is he
right.
still? I haven't seen
I
him
don't.
talk about Grand Seiko in a long
He
time.
says he doesn't sell watches, so
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I don't know. He did at
Anyway,
one point.
let's see
I just like the lingo he uses.
Well, how could
Large
Seiko use
vertical.
Spring Drive? I mean,
Right.
it just turned all his Grand Seikos into discount Seikos, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Mez9 saying it's all about the dial and the red band. It's good for Teddy to have him on, draw his views. No doubt. I know it does. I know,
It's
and
like
that's what.
playing Slayer for your grandma or something. You want the reaction, right? Like you want
Yeah,
to see her like laugh or like cringe or something. That's the effect Teddy's going for, especially when he shows them like the lower priced watches like
yeah,
Orients and Brew and all that kind of stuff. Like it's the fish out of water thing. That's what he's for.
yeah. Big risk that Kevin isn't really a watch guy. He's a rich guy with a big platform, gets clicks. Yeah. Um, Can you imagine an O'Leary and an Archie video? That'd be kind of funny. Uh, hey, Detroit Spartan, what's up, man? Teddy, just like 99% of YouTubers, will do pretty much anything for views. I don't know what you're talking about, Spartan. I don't know. Um, scrolling here. Mr. GMT, Teddy is doing whatever he has to do for entertainment purposes. Only he gets along with the guy. He's popular within the masses. So it's a win-win for Teddy. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm not begrudging Teddy. I like I said, I like him. I think he does a really, really good job. And look, I know he's got an online store, and I know that that's part of where this platform that he's using on YouTube is kind of helping to drive that kind of business. Good for him, man. He's an on he's doing it himself, and I just hate Kevin O'Leary.
You know what's funny is that's about the only Teddy video I will watch these days when Kevin's on. I find Teddy's videos like they're extremely well done, but they're just a little too polished, maybe. I don't know, the personality he had like early on, like he was one of the first channels I really got into. Like I remember he did that like rap video about the Pelagos and stuff. Like he did some really funny stuff. He doesn't do that anymore. It's very like polished. He's in a boardroom in a suit and a tie. Like I don't know. It's just not. It doesn't resonate with me as much. So I will admit the Teddy videos that with Kevin are about the only content of his I consume these days.
Understood. Bobby going hard on someone is a sight to see. Would hate to be on his bad side. Really, BB, I'm gentle. I'm a gentle guy. But to your point though, Clayton, like I like the videos that he does with Mitch Schwartz, the guy who used to be like I think that's his name, football player
Chiefs, right?
Played for the Chiefs. When he's gone like watch shopping or pretend, what would you do with like $20,000 budget or something like that. I like that. I like that. I know Mitch is in some of the Facebook watch groups. I know he's a real collector, of course, and even by his collection, you could tell. The guy has some great taste in watches and is learned. More of that. Yes, give me some of that. Give me some famous people or semi-famous people, whatever, who are really into watches that Teddy can showcase an episode or two on their collection or how they would go and spend that an imaginary budget on. Give me those guys. Like I know he can't probably land Kevin Hart, right? Because Kevin Hart is just like a superstar, comedian, and probably worth $100 million or whatnot, and is much more famous than Kevin O'Leary. I get that he's not gonna be able to land that, but just even somebody who's like somewhere in between Mitch Schwartz and Kevin Hart, just keep on giving me that. You know what I mean? Maybe those guys go to Hodinkee. Who knows?
Clymer just did a thing with Kevin Hart not too long ago, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. So maybe that's maybe there's Hodinkee and then there's Teddy. I don't know. Let's see here. Chaz saying Bobby Blake's bringing in the fire. Oh no, I'm Mr. Wonderful. Floyd is saying Rain and Blood is my favorite Grandma's album. Clayton, yeah. Great album. Great album from the start. From Angel of Death all the way to Rain and Blood.
Amazing.
I'm saying brilliant analogy, Clayton, playing Slayer for your grandma. Would love to see that.
I did that stuff because my grandma actually really liked music. She was interested in what I was listening to. So, but sometimes, I did play like Slayer and Metallica for her, and it was a little too much.
Yeah.
She's like, "There's no beat.
Yeah.
Noise.
This isn't music." Bongo Nutty saying, seems like Teddy is a slick media trained front guy for a larger operation. It does feel that way, but I think Teddy's the real deal, though. Okay. Let's. I'm saying Kevin O'Leary is a fool, but still a celebrity, brings the clicks. Okay. On that note, let us jump to our next topic, and that is casual watch reviews. How you are lying to yourself about Homage watches. A video that came out, and then he took it down, and then it came back up again just recently. and Sam, I think, did a very well thought out video, gave out 5 points on how you align yourself. Now, I took notes, and hopefully I do it justice. I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot. If I miss anything, guys, please let me know. So he started off the video with, like, with the question, like, what is an homage watch? And he looked up the definition, and it's a pay respect, and it's to pay respect, and it's not, nowhere in the definition does it say to rip off the original, right? He gave some examples of what he felt were homage watches in his opinion. Of the Veyer watch was an homage to the JLC Deep Sea. The Christopher Ward 63 Sealander GMT, an homage to the Explorer 2, watches that you can see they had had influence with some of the design elements, but still clearly had their own unique features and whatnot. And these are his examples. I'm not sure if I agree with the Bayer.
I challenged him on the Christopher Ward in the
All right, and
comments.
I saw that, and you
Yeah.
challenged him on Christopher.
We had a good
But anyway,
we had a good back and forth on it. He's cool. He's
Yeah.
super cool. Yeah.
But anyway, I mean that could be, I guess that's subjective, right? This is
Yeah.
all subjective anyway, right? So some of the ways that we that you lied to yourself, and before, I'm sorry, he has a date just, right, and he picked up a Pegani that is just an exact rip off to a date just, and Ahmed brought up this point, what he mentioned, and it's in the video. Ahmed mentioned this on Friday, how he said, just to clear the room here, to clear the air. This is my collection. I am not a watch snob. Okay, he has a date just, and then he has probably nothing close to near of value compared to that date just, right. He's got a Seiko. He's got a couple other Timex. He's got some other watches. So really, like, the value, I mean, like, financial value between the Datejust to his other watches is great. It's great. So he's not coming from a spot of being snobby. He just wants to, let that point go. So the first thing that people lie about themselves about homage, about the Rolex style, the Submariner style, that is not a style, right? A Flieger watch is a style. These watches that are copying Rolex. They're straight up copying Rolex, and these brands, he said, like Rolex and Omega, has spent decades perfecting these watches. They have the people who designed them, and the Submariner is not a style. People, my notes are all over the place. There's patents here, right, on these watches, right? And I can't even read my handwriting, but. In the second thing, way people lie to themselves, is that you don't like the copy, right? You don't like the homage. You actually like the watch that the homage is trying to copy, and so it doesn't make you a watch lover. He said, if you love the watch who wants to cosplay as a Rolex owner or something like that. I think. My handwriting is terrible, by the way, and I need bifocals here. Anyway, so saying that you love the homage because it's the homage is not really saying anything. It's like you actually just like what it's trying to copy. Rolex, the third ones, are expensive, and their marketing is BX. And if Rolex weren't, let me see here. What did I write? Man, I wrote this in a rush. Sorry, guys. Number 4. So like if I'm sorry, if we're going back to that point, if people are saying that they stick it to Rolex by buying the homage, but you're actually really just advertising. You're doing more advertising for Rolex. The fourth is that Rolex stole the design from the 50 Fathoms, which is complete BS. The 50 Fathoms came out earlier in that year, 1953. There was a Zodiac that came out, but if Rolex really stole from the 50 Fathoms, I mean, that the turnaround for them to like put together that design and put out the watch, it's just it couldn't have happened. It wasn't enough time to do that. And finally, if you're worried about crime, people stealing watches, you don't wear a watch that looks like a Rolex to, I mean, like you're still going to draw that attention because from a certain distance, a thief is not going to be able to tell if that's a Pagani or a fake Rolex or if it's a real Rolex. So you're still putting yourself at risk, and that just doesn't make sense. Anyway, I felt like his points here, and I butchered them a little bit here because my handwriting was terrible, were excellent points on homages. Now, I got to admit, I have had homage watches. I've had homage watches, in my opinion, not direct copies, although maybe the Squale that I had, you can argue, anybody could argue was a copy of it. But I've matured in my thinking, I think. I've evolved in my thinking and feel like those watches are direct copies, and you're kind of doing a disservice to yourself, right?
Mhm.
And a disservice to the brand. Guys, what did you think about the video? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, Sanjay and I did a podcast about this fairly recently, kind of the same thing, where we actually brought up another topic when established brands will do homage watches. Like, why do they have to do that? Like, what were the exact Timex just came out with that G-Shock, or that Casio ripoff.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that. What was
Hmm.
the other one, Sanjay?
Seiko tank.
Yes, the Senko Cartier tank. Thank you. Major brain fart there.
No.
Yeah, so we are wondering like why Seiko is probably one of the most homaged and copied brands outside of Rolex, right? So why do they feel the need to they even have a cabochon on the crown on that watch? Um, yeah, I agree with most everything he said. I've owned a couple. I bought a couple early on. I put it off watching Jody's channel, so I bought a couple. um, but like once we learn about maybe what they stand for, I'm convinced a lot of these brands just take their logo off of the watch and then sell them as complete replicas. I'm sure that happens. So yeah, I basically agreed. I did challenge him on the Christopher Ward. I don't think he said they're paying respect and honoring the design. I don't think that's what it's about. They're offering Rolex looks for less. I think they're in a way, even though they're adding their own unique design features like the case and the hands and all that, and the indices are different. You could still, I said from 5 feet away, if I saw that CW on your wrist, I would think it was an Explorer 2. Right. So I think, they're doing with, a little more respectable version of what like the San Martins and the Pagani do, but it's still, I don't think you're doing it to pay respect. You're doing it so people will buy it because people can't afford or get a Rolex. So
Um, yeah. I don't have too much to add to what you guys are saying. I do agree with Sam as well. We've probably talked about this a lot over the
Mm.
past couple of years, and yeah, I don't even like calling it homage watches because it's just trying to make a bad thing seem less bad. Like we mentioned a white lie or something, right?
yeah.
um, yeah, it's a copy watch, and I don't mean that maliciously to people who want to spend their money on a copy watch. If they want to, then it's legal, so they have the right to buy it if they want it, if they really want it. But it's good to look at the facts. And this is not just paying respect to another watch. It's literally it's inches, millimeters
Yeah.
from a replica. And I've been thinking about it since we did the podcast, and I listened to this, and there's just a little bit of this maybe an entitlement kind of attitude. And I'm not painting with a white brush, but at least a few people seem to think that they deserve to own this Rolex, and they want to stick it to Rolex, right? And it's it's strange. I mean, I wish everyone could own own a Rolex or a Grand Seiko or whatever. But if you can't, then it's a matter of moving on. I mean,
Yeah.
I do it all the time. I can't. I look at the Explorer. I yearn for the Explorer. I see that it's $8,000. I don't turn to Smiths, right? Smiths is the one.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
I don't turn to Smiths and say, okay, I'm willing to pay that. I yearn, I desire the Explorer. I think it's overpriced. I'm not willing to put that much money down on the Explorer, so I just turn around and I go the other way, But there's this hint of some kind of entitlement thing. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh there, but where they really want that watch and they have to have that watch, but instead of really putting the time or the effort um, into saving up, maybe it's not feasible. And I am being too harsh here, but maybe
Yeah.
it's not feasible to save up. But instead of looking at an alternative, they turn toward the almost replica.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to see because that person deserves better. And
Yeah.
I think Sam said that too, right? You deserve better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have an example from I talked about my podcast last week. I'm on a Facebook group. This guy, he buys a lot of copy watches. He bought a copy watch of the Longines Spirit. He's got several of them of all kinds of different watches, and he got roasted. And I'm not gonna make fun of somebody like for their choice, but I just said because he said the Longines is the Spirit is a grail of his, but he can't afford it, so he bought this. And outside of like saying, well, you bought like 20 copy watches, that's a Longines Spirit right there, $100 each, right? I just said, you can afford it. It's just it takes some patience and saving, but you can do that. That's an attainable goal. It's readily available. Just have to put some effort in because he clearly buys a lot of watches, but they're all these. And so I mean, if that's where he's happy, like who am I to argue with him? But if he really wants it, he can go for it.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think where
yeah.
Sam was coming in was like, there's I mean, he's taking to task some of the YouTube content creators who are pushing this kind of the lie, right, out there, who are promoting these watches. At the end of the day, as Sam mentioned, like a lot of this stuff is hard to litigate in court, right? The design. I mean, there's a lot of latitude given to some of these copy brands where Rolex can and some of these other brands who are being copied can get you is with patent infringements and that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, you are taking. Now I'm talking about the direct copies, right? I'm talking like Pegani design, right? You're taking something that someone created, spent decades working on, patents, the money, the investment, and then you're just putting out a look-alike, a copy, a knockoff of it. I don't fault the person who, you know, just wants to buy that watch just because they like the watch and it reminds them of a Rolex. But I think where you get in trouble here is when you lie to yourself about some of these things to help justify buying something that is not real, and it hurts. Look, I mean, does Rolex get hurt by this stuff? Probably not. Probably not because it's still advertising on them. You know what I mean? Like when somebody goes out and wears that Pagani Datejust or whatever Daytona or Explorer 2, people think that they're wearing a Rolex, and at the end of the day, Pagani doesn't get any advertising out of that. Rolex does, even with the fakes. And so, yeah, I mean, my views on this, like I mentioned, have evolved. Whereas now I just feel like it's categorically wrong to lie to own one of these and lie to yourself about it. I can't begrudge you for buying one of these because you just like the look of it. You know what I mean? Because like, oh, that looks exactly like a Rolex, and that's it. But just don't, the whole lie that is being told about it is the problem for me. I know that's maybe unclear argument there because that could be, you know, um, You could look at it different ways, or maybe not understand the point that I'm trying to make. But I just feel like it's not real. Um, let's see what the chat's got to say. I'm sure there's going to be some great comments here.
Yeah.
Joey B, this video was fantastic. Chaz saying this is the original Watch Soup and not an homage. Absolutely. Uh, sounds like Mafia. Pay respect. Forget about it. Big Chris, I have a few homage watches from years ago. I should move them along. I'm past that phase now. Homage, fromage. Are we saying it wrong? The question of homage versus copage or coppage can get a little muddy. Um, it's good to send that. For most of us, Sam's video wasn't anything we all didn't know, but I thought it was well said and presented. Absolutely.
Yep.
Um,
Great
I mean,
video.
there's been plenty of videos like this before. Um, what piqued my interest about this video was that he took it down,
Yeah.
and then he put it back up, and I think maybe he got some flack from it. If by chance he might be showing up on a Bobby Leg stream sometime soon, this might be a question that we can ask him.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he will. Maybe he won't.
I know
glad
you
he
said
did
you
that.
wanted to do it, and I went to look for it. I was like, I might be an idiot, but I can't find it.
Yeah. And then they came back up. Then he
Yeah.
put it back up. Good for him. You know.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's common for people to go through a stage early in their collecting journey of being interested in copage. I'm gonna say copage. I'm gonna say copage.
Yeah.
Watches like San Martin,
Coppage sounds wrong.
copage, the sound wrong, Pegani design, etc. Nothing is original. Everything in the end has a derivative. Yes, but not exact derivative. I mean, you know what I mean? Like we're talking about the ones that are just exact copies. You know, like a Pagani design, like the example that Sam used in his video.
This is
Um,
kind of why the reason I'm okay with the Christopher Ward, and to a certain extent that Timex, which is very very close to G-Shock. I'm not fully okay with it, but I'm uh, I'm a little more okay with it than Clayton is. um, but it's because everything kind of is derivative. Like
Yeah.
there's always inspiration. Like no one is 100% original, right? I mean, I'm sure there are a few people, but this is kind of why I'm okay with the Christopher Ward, because it is different enough. Like sure, from 5-10 feet, you'll probably still think it's an Explorer 2, but from 25 feet, an SLA 043 might
Right.
look like a sub, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay, so this is a sticky little statement here. In this case, then I'm calling out Mr. Frankel from Long Island Watch, Mark at Long Island Watch. Okay, I mean, where do we put some of those Islanders?
oh, egregious, awful.
Yeah,
But as a businessman, I have tremendous respect for. You can't hate a guy for doing. He saw an opportunity, he jumped on it. I'm not gonna buy him,
yeah.
but he
I bought
jumped on it. I have too. I've owned a couple.
Yeah.
Bought the
I
very
just
first batch he ever made. I bought one.
I just don't know how he maintains the ability to sell Seiko. I mean, there's something underneath, something behind the scenes that
Still
we're
buying the
just not.
movements from him.
Yeah, but I mean, but he's also like an AD, right? I mean, he also,
Yeah,
he
probably
doesn't.
like that he buys the movements and still
Yeah,
talks about them. And
He's
I
probably a
think he
really
said at
big,
some point they have no problem. I think he actually said that.
Yeah.
Seiko doesn't mind.
well, he's probably a really big like sales outlet for Seiko.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of crazy for Seiko to cut that off, I would think.
yeah, but so is Macy's, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Um,
But to that point, I feel like there's a lot of things you could put in that way, like in a business sense. You could do something morally dubious, and it could make tons of money, but it's still morally dubious.
Well, CVS sells the NyQuil and the generic NyQuil right next to each other, right?
Yeah.
They don't pull
Yeah.
those products, so it's kind of the same thing.
yeah, but I think it's. I think it's legal, and I'm not a doctor and I'm not a pharmacist, um, but
You stay at Holiday
generics.
Inn Express last night?
Yeah, yes, yeah, but the patents on drugs are like what, like 7 years,
Hmm.
and then
Oh,
it's opened up, right? And
yeah.
then you can have make generics. You're legally allowed to do that.
Also, it's like
Uh,
Salida and Etta with the
Mm,
W200 and
I didn't know that about medicine.
I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. I mean, that's
I'm
how
just
you
saying
can.
NyQuil's
Yeah,
not going to pull their products from CVS just because they are selling
I
their
follow.
generic competitor. That was what I
Yeah.
was kind of going
Okay.
for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
you're right.
I'm saying the background to Sam's video is that he regularly gets offers to promote these knockoffs for pay and then turns them down. Meanwhile, a huge number of watch YouTubers take cash to promote the kickbacks, the knockoff. Sorry. Um,
I can think of one or two who used to be against Homage watches on their channel and now are all about them. So you wonder why sometimes.
yeah.
And there's money involved, I'm sure.
I Amin also says I unsubscribe to any YouTuber who does a copy watch video. Don't care if they also make good content. It will watch finder unsubscribed. Okay.
What about that
Okay.
from Armari though? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. If Rolex had a design patent on the Submariner, it expired a long time ago. There's no IP. There's nothing to litigate. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the design. It's and that's why Rolex can't like sue for the design for like Pegani, as Sam I think explains. The only way these brands can actually sue is if there's like a patent infringement, right, on a technology. Um, okay. Um, we killed this one to death. Let's move on to one of our favorites on here on the Bobby Legs channel, Jeff McMahon, a watch guy in search of an identity. Clayton, take it away.
We promised we'd keep tabs on Jeff every few weeks, so I felt well, I was kind of struggling, grasping at straws for a video, and then he came in at the 11th hour and released this. So thank you, Jeff, for providing us. So I was a little worried about Jeff when this video started. I'll be honest, but I think it ended in a pretty good place. He opens with a tuna on the table, and he says, "No April Fool's jokes here, no Shamrock Day jokes," or whatever he was saying. He said he was putting this thought on Instagram, and somebody said, "We're in the hobby of overthinking, not watch collecting." And he just said, he doesn't, he not alone. There are some classic Jeffisms in this. He likes to feel like he's not the only crab in the bucket. That he kind of like we talked about before. Misery loves company. It's nice to know other people are doing as bad as I am. It makes me feel better about my situation, right? So he just feels like he's incapable of enjoying the watch hobby sometimes. As we're all pretty aware he feels that way. I don't know if you listened to the podcast he did with me, but he actually said we sounded like happy and upbeat, and that gave him hope because he just had such a cynical view all the time. And seeing us and I spoke for you guys and said you were tormented. I certainly can be at times. I think I'm overall,
I'm happy.
Sanjay's not at all. So I apologize for that. But yeah, he just said, he is incapable collecting problems. It's a metaphorical Lyme disease for him. It gives him rash. It gives him migraines.
What?
He had a bunch of
Yeah,
winners in this
yeah.
one. He also doesn't know what kind of collector is. Does he want one nice watch?
Mm,
Does he want a few, an Omega, a Tudor? Does he want a bunch of Seikos, or does he want like one monster? Could he do that? Could he be
mm,
happy with just like one $300 Seiko and that's it? He
mm,
doesn't know if he's a bracelet guy, doesn't know if he's a strap guy. Nothing feels right. He's got no strategy, no plan.
mm,
And
mm.
about this point, I'm like, oh my gosh, I may have to reach out to Jeff here. He needs a lifeline. But then he said, he's not upset about it though.
Yeah.
He finds it funny, and he's learning to laugh at himself a little bit. Then he put the SLA 023 on the table with the SLA 055. And then he said, really, he just likes to wear those two watches. And he says, to hell with the others. But he says it when he says that to himself, it's in a John Wayne voice, to to hell with the rest, Pilgrim. That's my John Wayne impression. So
Pretty good.
he has more questions than answers, but he seems pretty content with the fact that he knows nothing about his plan or his identity. And I actually felt like hope for Jeff that he can maybe find some peace in the hobby after watching this video, because when it started, I wasn't so sure where he was going. But yeah, great stuff. And I'm pulling for him, of course, because he's a great guy. So
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of identification. I often wonder. I'm also in search of an identity as a collector. I've been going back and forth with the idea. Am I more enthusiast than collector lately? I've been thinking, because for me, my definition of a collector is somebody actually, part of the definition anyway, is somebody who actually just keeps all his watches that he's ever bought or that she's
Mhm.
ever bought, right? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I'll use the term curates a collection, has an idea of what they're going for, and my ideas change every so often. Anytime something new comes up, and I'm like, oh, I love that, and I want that, right? So I don't follow a pattern, and I think when I'm going through right now, and I'm on the couch here for a second here, that I'm going through like a little bit of a reset in my collection journey, if you will. I need to, kind of like get a little bit more simple before I can move on and move forward. Am I a bracelet guy? Am I a strap guy? Am I a chrono guy? Am I just a three-hander? Am I a dress watch guy? Am I a dive watch guy? Don't know. Do I want just one brand? Do I want a couple of brands? Do I want one watch of each brand? You know, um, got to answer those. Do I want icons? Those are the kind of things that I'm going through right now. And so, like, I'm not the only crab in the bucket, for sure. I can identify with that. Sanjay, your thoughts?
Yeah, I had fun watching this video. At first, I had that pit feeling, like the feeling in the stomach, at the pit of your stomach. You
Yeah.
feel like, oh no, um,
yeah,
oh no,
started dark.
oh no, Jeff. But yeah, it did get better, and it was good that he can find it funny. Um, I I personally, I don't have a plan either, but I like that I don't have a plan.
Mm.
When it comes to watch watch collecting, and I think I've been kind of pondering on that as well. That I'm definitely not a collector. I used to think I was, but like you said, I'm pretty sure I'm just an enthusiast, possibly on the way to being a collector. I
Mm.
like to think I'm on the way to being a collector because, yeah, I'm starting to have pieces that I really don't want to let go. So I have a feeling, since those are gonna stay, my buying habits are gonna change. I'm not gonna want to move things on, um, and yeah, I don't think I have any plan other than that, just to really, be a free spirit. Just have a blast, enjoy the watches that come my way, not get stressed out about it, or overthink it. And I hope Jeff can do that too. You know, we it'll be fun to have him on this side of the stress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Wilson says he likes to rummage through watches. Oh yeah, is that right, Wilson? You like to rummage? Hey, Orange Hens here. How you doing, buddy? What's going on? Rick is saying plan. You don't need no stinking plan.
Badges. We
Uh,
don't need no stinking badges.
yeah, the interesting Sanjay has keepers. Oh boy,
Not
we
really.
we need to hear what they are.
Yeah. That's the
Uh,
SPGY 003 and the Speedmaster. Those are keepers.
right.
Winding Crown says I need a Grand Seiko. Hmm.
Yes,
Hmm.
sir.
Bruno is saying most of us are not collectors, just accumulators. A true collector has a goal in mind. Think of a coin collector. Yeah, I mean, I know some coin collectors, and they just like collect anything. I mean, some get specific, but I think it's like watch collecting. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot of similarities between coin collecting and watch collecting.
Well, one of the
Uh,
videos I was going to pick tonight, for tonight, before the Jeff one came out, was the guy who he's like a Bond collector, and that's his channel about James Bond. and he has a pretty insane Bond watch collection. That guy's a collector. Like,
Hmm.
he's got a Bond museum practically in his place. Like, and he has Bond watches from all the movies pretty much. The
Wow.
Seikos that were used. I mean, it's really impressive collection. Then he has all the Omegas that Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig have worn. Yeah, that's a collector. I get stressed out when I've got tried to be a collector. I think I'm just an enthusiast also, because every time I get a collection, I just sell them
Blow it up.
eventually. I've tried a
Yeah.
few sub collections. It's fun for a while, then I'm done and they're gone.
Mhm.
But you don't say I don't have a plan either. Apart from seeing stuff I like and putting them on a want list, I filter them later, but there's no real plan. We've been saying trying to differentiate between collector and enthusiast is a fool's errand. Joyce Barton, who cares? If a watch speaks to you and fits your lifestyle, buy it.
After the
Free spirit.
podcast came out, Jeff and I were messaging back and forth, and I said this in my podcast today, like maybe we can be content in the fact that we'll never quite be content, and we'll always see something else that comes out that we want. We're going to change. So just let's be happy and content that we know that's going to happen at some point, and just
Mm.
ride the wave. Like you guys are, like Sanjay saying, kind of just go with it.
I am definitely a collector. I have goals, nebulous as they might be. Be an enthusiast, not a collector, and then you can do whatever you want. True. If a watch speaks to me, I've done too many mushrooms. That's a good one. That's a good
I
one.
did not expect that.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect. I'm like reading it, and then I'm like, oh, that's pretty funny. Well, guys, great topics tonight. One of my favorite episodes that we've done so far. Sorry, I messed up with my handwriting on some of the points from Sam's video, but I think we got the point.
Maybe you
And
are a doctor. You couldn't read your own handwriting.
yeah, exactly. Just some housekeeping notes, guys. Next Sunday we will not be on. It is Easter Sunday, and we all have plans. So sorry about that, but we'll continue on the Sunday after. Sanjay, anything coming up for you on your channel?
I borrowed a Moser from Marcus, so in the upcoming weeks, I
That
hope
won the
to.
poll.
Yes, that won the poll. Sadly, Santos didn't, but but no, the Moser is incredible. Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to learning about it and talking about it. Being a more well-rounded watch enthusiast.
He's been a good source lately for some of your reviews, man. You've gotten some
Yeah.
good reviews out of that, and
Like
excellent.
experiencing, for some reason, I've seen many Rolex GMTs, right?
Hmm.
But I've never had the desire to handle one and play with it. And when I like undid the crown on the Explorer 2, and then I jumped that hour hand, and
Hmm.
it went, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
oh, that's nice.
yeah,
It was like a slap in the face. It's just
yeah,
this is one bulletproof movement.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
good
Absolutely. I
stuff.
mean, I got that feeling when I wound my Submariner for the first time. It
Yeah.
was like the perfect amount of resistance.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh, man, yeah, this is, like you said, this is like a well-made movement here,
Yeah.
for sure. Um, Clayton, any what's going on with the podcast? Anything coming up?
Released a podcast today.
Hmm.
Since my family's coming on Tuesday, Keith and I are going to record our Formex episode.
Oh, excellent.
He has the Reef GMT now. I
Yeah,
sent it
yeah,
to him, so we're going to tomorrow night. I think we're going to try to squeeze it in, and then it'll come out next weekend, probably Saturday. And I try to release on the weekends now, so
yeah.
people can do chores and yard work or whatever, and listen, drive around, drive their kids to stuff, and listen to podcasts. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to hearing his thoughts. I've
Detail
heard
cars.
detail cars. Help people move.
Yes. Fall downstairs.
Yeah. So
Mizone's asking you, Clayton. The Moser Heritage is beautiful to wine. Clayton, how does it
Oh.
feel for your endeavor? Good.
I mean, I thought Rolex was good.
Yeah.
Moser is another level above that, which I
Yeah.
didn't know. Yeah, I'm entering this new world of horological delights, so it's it's really amazing. I mean, it's fantastic to interact with.
Keith must
It's
be
really
tuckered
not
out
that
from
hard
where.
to set the time on it either, even though it has no minute tracker, indices, or anything. It's fairly easy to read it, I think, and set it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chaz is saying Keith must be tuckered out from wearing the Formex all day. That's why he's not here. Yeah. See Tuesday night stream with Bobby Legs and Friday night as well. Guys, thank you so much for this evening. Chat, you're awesome as always. Stay tuned at some point this week. The podcast for this episode of the Watch Soup will be out as well.
We'll get it out to if probably not tonight, tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clayton, we know Clayton's good for it. And anyway, guys, have a great rest of your Sunday night, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for another episode of Watch Soup. Take care.
Bye. Good night.